This girl, Amo, was sold by her mom, and the grown-ass man grooms Amo as a child and actively rapes her, calling it a ritual. Then you say, what a character design. This is a very, very sensitive topic. And to just parade around this saying, what a character design, I'm not surprised that like people hate this guy. This is like glorifying that shit.
Never in my life have I wanted to be a cherry as much as I do right now. Call me freaky or whatever. I appreciate just how shameless gacha games are. At the end of the day, a lot of gacha games can be predatory because obviously loot boxes and having to spend a lot of money, but at the end of the day, I do respect just the shameless nature of just how gacha games are. Lollies and stuff, they're not real. They're just drawings on a page. They're not harming anyone. The argument that, you know, if you like lollies or think they're cute and they cause you to be a pedo, it's the same argument as like video games cause violence. Lolly does not mean you're a pedo. My stance will never change on this because watering down words only helps actual criminals, aka pedos. It's not real, it's fiction, it doesn't harm anyone. If you find it weird, that's completely a-okay. I'm actually someone that likes big women, like tall women. It's why my fiance is taller than me as well. And I'm just gonna be blunt with you. It's interesting just how people will be quick to label me all sorts of buzzwords and just inflammatory responses just to slander me.
So does that mean Chibi is actually a pro-rape, pro-pedophilia? I don't think so, because it's a work of fiction. But here's the difference, right? Nobody with an ounce of decency would post a screenshot of an animated child immediately after getting raped and sneakily sexualize her this way. This is not the first time Chibi's done stuff like this. He does this shit on a regular basis and will play victim.
Someone made a video about the Chibi's situation and even mentioned me as the bully who spreads hatred. The video is not accurate or interesting as the comments under it, where I replied to a bunch of idiots who don't get what the actual problem is. So I am not gonna clip the video, I am only gonna show you what idiots say and how the snob shames them. This guy calls anyone who is doxing a typical Twitter a loser. My reply to him is that you can call the very people they are doxing in the same way. I mean, what kind of people are chibi when they are gooners and open about it? This guy says the doxers are bullies, and when I ask him why, another guy who defends chibi replies by being a bully. So again, they accuse the doxers of the very things they are doing in front of your eyes. This guy says liking lollies is not bad because fiction does not affect reality. He doesn't admit it when I correct him, so I shut him up by mentioning any emotional response to any piece of art or media. Thus, once again, those who think they are smart are proven to be the most idiotic. This guy says anyone who calls Chibi a creep is also a creep, therefore the accusation has no weight. I shut him up by pointing out how you don't have to be a saint who never makes mistakes before you can call someone out. It would be nice if you were, aka practice what you preach, but this does not negate the accusation. This guy tries to paint the creator of the video as the bad guy by saying, "You are stupid because you don't want people to post things that will make others mad." I correct him by pointing out he is the stupid one, since the video is not about not wanting stupids like him to post what others might not like. It's about not playing the victim card every time someone gets angry over things you say or do. When you know there is bound to be backlash, why are you crying about it? This guy defends Chibi by saying he's not playing victim like he always does, because he is the victim. He's not hurting anyone, it's fiction. Well, he's clearly not doing a good job when he has triggered so many people and has completely fried his brain by consuming bad fiction. Therefore, once again, fiction does affect reality regardless of you denying it. This guy defends Chibi by saying gooning over fiction is not the same as hurting actual children. I correct him by stating the gooning over pictures is the problem. Since he has no way to refute that, he becomes a hater and a bully like the very people he accuses. This guy thinks that the only thing Chibi did over the past decade is to call one lolly character cute. Therefore, the doxing is uncalled for. I correct him by pointing out he is gooning every day over the past decade, and he admits he doesn't follow him. He just saw someone playing the victim card and instantly sided with him. The same way a woman can be crying about sexual assault and everyone is instantly going to believe her without bothering to look into the situation. This guy tries to make it seem like Chibi's parents are being harassed just because he likes lolis. I correct him by pointing out they have never been harassed. Chibi only mentions them for sympathy, the same way he was mentioning his dead brother for sympathy. He doesn't really care about them, he only exploits them for sympathy. Just a year ago, Chibi made a video about how much he hates his parents for pressuring him into giving them more money. He did it so that people would give him money the same way he did it now, so they will again give him more money. And that is why he deserves to be doxxed. Not because it's the moral thing to do, but because nobody listens if you're being polite. I and many others have been exposing his bullshit for years. He promised to change, and he only got worse. His fanbase doesn't listen and became more racist. Is doxing too much for what he has done? Yes, but it's not like he and his fanbase were listening to reason and polite feedback, were they now? They kept playing the victim card, repeating fiction does not affect reality and he only liked the loli, nothing else. They escalated the situation by not only ignoring the warnings, but also by spreading and normalizing degeneracy for over a decade. Doxing is what they deserve when reason does not work on them. It's also yet another example for why fiction does affect reality. Their fictional lolis turned most of the community into gooners and dog simps. Therefore, I'm perfectly fine when he's been called out for gooning daily, spreading degeneracy by normalizing it, for constantly playing the victim card, and for having the most idiotic fanbase. He ignored me and now faces the consequences. It all makes sense to me, and I am all in.
I'm causing the schizos to have a meltdown about my Amo posting. Can't wait for people to say I caused the fan in the crash and burn like Dan Dan, implying I wrote, drew, or animated the scenes they get angry about. No, you didn't write, drawn, or animated it. You were glorifying a fictional character getting raped and groomed for internet clicks so that you can make a couple dollars off of it. You can't wonder why so many people hate you when you do this over and over again.
The fan service for this episode is peak. So unfiltered, uncensored, unhinged at that, with Marin just bouncing around in her bunny suit is just peak, man. It's what got anime popular to begin with. I hate people that try to force other cultures to conform to their ideals. Like, that's gross.
Understanding of, like, what it means to just be yourself. This ultimate cringe lord.
I think if you're trying to force another culture to bend the knee to you, piss off.
That's nothing to be embarrassed about, because nobody gives a shit.
You have these people that have came in from the 2020s that will say anything that is not deemed acceptable by society needs to be removed and never be created whatsoever. And it's why I went on links to talk about stuff like, for instance, Mushoku Tensei, because if it was up to individuals, that series would never exist as well.
Of course I have hug pillows around. There is no, like, moral hierarchy of cringe, me being total fucking spaz, a human being.
So good to see that these animators do not care. They do not care about what people in the West that are mentally ill have to say. People that cannot separate fiction from reality. I appreciate it so much.
I'm an adult who realizes that all art is art. It's not real. None of it has any consequences to real life.
He wanted to be a pony and even dressed up with a wig and put a horn on his head and danced around on a bed.
Gojo remembers his childhood friend that basically called him a weirdo and a creep for daring to dress up like dolls, Hina dolls and stuff, and put makeup and stuff on, which led to a lot of PTSD and trauma that he had early on in his life. Times have changed, and he is around people that are very acceptable of him, open about him, and they are not really calling him a creep or a weirdo anymore. He's amongst people that share very similar interest in him, or just they're not going to go out of their way to really judge him. And I find that beautiful. It's a very beautiful segment, honestly.
This guy fixates a lot on the whole lolly equals pedophilia thing, which any sensible person knows is horseshit.
I am a huge fan of little girls getting fucked.
It's been endearing and inspiring, honestly. He is surrounded by people that are not going to call him a creep or weirdo, and he can just do what he wants and talk about what he wants without feeling like he's getting judged. It's very beautiful stuff.
I'm healthy, aren't I? I'm fucking sick.
I'm glad to see this series exist. I'm glad to see season 2 exist. I can't wait to be canceled for talking about this series or even talking about the fan service scenes in a positive light, because I want to have someone try to call me some form of buzzword after I upload this video.
All of our bathrooms are gross. Granted, my bathroom was quite disgusting. Who gives a shit?
Hell yeah! This fictional character got raped. She's so hot. Like, that's your stance? If it is, what a weird stance. It's so distasteful. Even if it's fictional, you can still say, this is weird as fuck. And I don't really like vibe with that. But if you glorify it, then you're genuinely enjoying it. And that is sickening, no matter how fictional it is. If it's fiction, I can appreciate the art in the medium and talk about it in this way and continue to watch it. Doesn't make me a hypocrite. But glorifying the acts is totally different.
I'm so happy, man! Like, yeah! It's so good! We're about to get into content that's like cruel and diabolical. The best content of the whole series. People would like to say that, you're a weirdo or a creep if you watch Mushoku Tensei. Like, people really go out of their way to judge you if you watch this series or even enjoy it. I'm glad to see, regardless of those type of people that are mentally ill, you can see that there's just a huge following for Mushoku Tensei, and people just don't care anymore, and they're just watching it because it is a legitimately good show. I'm glad to see that people just are really not wanting to listen to these, like, mentally ill people that just want to call you any form of buzzword if you watch a show like this.
Should have posted a clip of this scene instead of a screenshot and said, what a character design. Post would have hit 3 million views instead of 1.3 million. Failed opportunity. Scratch my fucking head. No, I think you should have said more than what a character design. I think you should have said, God damn, I wish I was him instead. Like, if you really want the engagement, just say that you wish that you bought Amo instead.
Anime viewership has tripled in 5 years since 2020. People would like to say that, you're a weirdo or a creep if you watch Mushoku Tensei. Like, people really go out of their way to judge you if you watch this series or even enjoy it. If you've ever wanted definitive proof that you are the minority in the anime community, this is it. He is surrounded by people that are not going to call him a creep or weirdo, and he can just do what he wants and talk about what he wants without feeling like he's getting judged. It's very beautiful stuff. You're a minority now. You are legitimately someone that is in the small fraction of the community, regardless of those type of people that are mentally ill. You can see that there's just a huge following for Mushoku Tensei, and people just don't care anymore, and they're just watching it because it is a legitimately good show. It explains why there's so many issues that keep arising, why there's so many people that are hell-bent on buzzwording you or calling you different things if you watch a certain series. Let's say Mushoku Tensei, for instance. It's because there are people that never cared about anime, they just watched it to dive into it because it became popular. And they don't care actually about its history or anything behind it or why it is like it is, Japanese culture in general. They don't care. The fan service for this episode is peak. So unfiltered, uncensored, unhinged at that. It's what got anime popular to begin with. It is really sad to see anime evolving and becoming like the next Hollywood and the next gaming community. I'm glad to see that people just are really not wanting to listen to these like mentally ill people that just want to call you any form of buzzword if you watch a show like this.
And I can't believe how serious people can take this shit. As if the character is a real living, breathing human being, they'll say you're fine with rape and sexual harassment, all the modern day buzzwords. They're obsessed with ruining fiction by constantly forcing their politics and real world issues into it. Can't just talk shit and have fun anymore. Yeah, the character isn't real. It's a work of fiction. But do you need to go out of your way to glorify a victim of rape and say, God damn, she's hot? What kind of person does this shit? Because it's not just talking shit. A person who posts stuff like this is farming, again, engagement for money because it's viral. He is farming the gooners who would actually get aroused by an act of rape happening, no matter how fictional, and farm that engagement.
AI waifus are now a reality and people are already getting addicted on this bullshit. Which doesn't make any sense since AI waifus are fictional and therefore have no effect on reality. If you believe such nonsense, you are mentally ill.
Are you sick in the mind?
Stop talking about porn addiction to pixels and ask yourselves, what about the Epstein files?
Are you that mentally enslaved and intellectually subservient?
Let this harmless AI application alone since it will have no effect on anyone's life. And let's talk about the Epstein files instead because your life depends on those.
You really should be ashamed of yourself, but you should be humiliated.
The grok wife I am salivating all over the screen right now is of no concern to you mentally ill people.
You should be humiliated. You make me absolutely sick.
Talk about something healthy that I don't care about, such as some dead guy you never met and who has no effect on your lives having a pedophile mansion.
Are you sick in the mind?
What is so hard to understand? Are you that mentally ill? Jeez, what is wrong with you? Let me enjoy my cum socket in peace by looking at something that is not real and has no effect on my life.
Isn't Nick the guy that was literally talking about how Cawcaw was such a visceral experience for him because he too was bullied in real life, and that like he got to the point where he was suicidal, and that's why he hates Marina so much? When you watch something like this, what if someone was actually raped like that? What if your girlfriend, what if your wife, what if your sister, what if a girl that you know was actually in this kind of situation, groomed and raped, and now you talk about this shit not mattering? When you really think about the logic presented and what he's saying and the stances he's taken, this is not consistent to what you talked about in your previous videos.
A child comes to school bruised up for all to see. Nobody sees anything strange. The child's desk is filled with disgusting words for all to see. Nobody sees anything strange. The child goes through a meticulous plan so she can hide the crime she committed. Everyone sees it right away, although she hid it from everyone using advanced alien technology. Meanwhile, when they find the advanced alien technology, do you know what their reaction is? Nobody sees anything strange. Then the police carefully look around for clues. They go to her house, see a dumpster, the parents are nowhere to be seen, and the child is clearly behaving in an unstable manner. Nobody sees anything. This is the reason for why there is misery porn in this show. Nobody sees anything despite being in front of them, aside from the convenient moments when they magically see something that is meticulously hidden. This is the level of crappy writing we are dealing with, and yet the vast majority of anime fans love the hell out of it. An average of almost 9? Are you serious? The only thing they say is you shouldn't allow censorship because it's not going to allow such trash fire to be made. Oh yes, you're mentally ill if you don't allow such horribly written misery porn, which is only going to spread brain rot because people will keep on thinking this is what good anime are all about, to be made. Voila, here, this community is cooked.
Cawcaw is a work of fiction. Marina bullying, the main character was so visceral that like people who can relate to those things, no matter if it's a work of fiction, it elicits an emotion. Trigger warning, you might say. And he talked about how he almost was drove to the brink of suicide, right? That he was so depressed about this shit. And that's why I fucking hate this shit so much. And that's why anyone that like would dare criticize me about hating Marina and that she deserved to die, you don't fucking know anything. How this happened to you? But can't you really like translate that into something like this and be able to empathize with other people that may have been in this situation and understand why they would be mad? Just like think about your own words and relate that to other people that may have also gone through the same shit, and then you can realize, why are people getting so mad?
There is this acceleration with many different organizations and groups and stuff to force censorship over fictional content. Aims to prevent kids from accessing harmful social media content like porn. It is very evil. They should not have any right to do something like that. What they're basically saying is that Lion King would be unable to exist. Stitch, like Lilo and Stitch, wouldn't be able to exist. Didn't the government stop investigation into a PDF ring? Didn't they, like, stop the investigation or whatever, like, completely, like, shut it down? We have legitimately entered into a timeline to where Shimonetta is no longer could just be looked at as a parody or satire. It was a documentary on what would happen in society. In Shimonetta, you have, like, a crazy yandere girl, going after the guy, okay? And obviously people will be like, oh, I wish I had that. Steam obviously got rid of a bunch of incest games and all that, and I saw people cheering and be like, why would you be upset about them removing that? And here's the problem. This content that is being censored isn't real.
Here is my bed.
It's fictional. It's not hurting anyone. It's not illegal.
Here is my bed.
It's not hurting anyone. It doesn't do anything. That's it.
Here is my bed.
It is a legitimate attack on freedom of expression. Incest games to draw what you want. Incest games to write what you want. Incest games. It's gross, man. It's actually gross that we are living in a timeline to where we're getting closer and closer to Shimonetta being a documentary. Mentally ill people that just want to call you any form of buzzword if you watch a show like this.
people trying to make this politics. Like, what do you mean politics? I think it's as simple as people finding it disgusting that you would glorify this poor character, a fictional character getting raped for internet clicks, and then to parade around saying, I should have done more, I should have done better. It's such a bad look.
Our dear defender of free speech had a surgery on his balls. After gooning for 2 decades, squeezing and pulling his balls, as he was watching animated porn on a daily basis, they finally cracked and he needed an operation. Which is why he filmed himself stoned in a hospital bed, wearing a druggable shirt, and repeating how much his balls hurt over and over. And before you say I'm making fun of his suffering again and it's gonna backfire like it did with his brother, I need to remind you he keeps revealing everything about himself for sympathy from his mindless audience. It's why they keep giving him money to continue his degenerate lifestyle, and it's also why he constantly provides fuel for more jokes about a lolcow he has become. The defender of free speech who doesn't want animated porn to be censored needed an operation because he was watching porn non-stop while wearing a druggable shirt.
This guy won't let us jerk off to kids. I fucking hate this guy.
And in case you think this wasn't the result of gooning, all you have to do is check the causes of his condition. It happens either when you enter puberty, which can't happen to him, he's just a child that never does anything wrong, or when you injure your balls after vigorous activity. Now, what kind of an activity can be vigorous for someone who is not working, not married, and stuck inside a shack watching animated porn all day? And how come fiction has no effect on reality when it causes you to need an operation because you can't stop squeezing your balls all day? And as usual, Chip is not gonna listen, he's just gonna keep getting money from his fellow gooners, so he can keep squeezing his balls non-stop because he's a porn addict, and he will keep filming himself crying so his goons will turn against anyone who tells him the truth. Last time it was when Twitter made fun of him for gooning over the sexual assault of Dan Da Dan, and before that it was when they terminated my first channel by flagging all my videos for pornography. Yes, the porn addicts shut down a channel that was proving what they defend is not innocent, it was porn, so they can continue being porn addicts who squeeze their balls until they need an operation. See you next time when Chippy needs an operation on his wrist because of vigorous activity, and he's gonna film himself crying on screen about incest games being innocent because fiction has no effect on reality.
Why don't you let me jerk off to kids? Hey man, what's going on here? You're literally Hitler. You're being a hypocrite.
It's not surprising to me why so many people hate Chibi. It's because of stuff like this. And this is not like a one-time thing. This is a multiple occurrence, like a pattern of behavior to glorify a fictional work of rape and grooming. It's just so distasteful that I really wonder, like, do you get off on this shit? It's just a bad look overall.
Almost all the fantasy books that you find now are basically this mommy porn. It's kind of trashy, but it's super popular. This is what, this is the direction they seem to be taking D&D in and all that.
It is fictional content. You can find it weird, whatever. It's fictional content.
It's a major controversy because apparently some people were groped.
It has a right to exist as long as if it's harming nobody, it's not doing anything to anyone, you can find it weird, whatever.
We're talking like full-on assault, like they're reaching in his pants and grabbing him.
If you allow that to be censored, it opens the door.
They can't separate the reality from the fiction, and it tends to attract a certain type of person, and those people don't always have a firm grip on reality to begin with.
When you open the door up, it's hard to close that door again. All things will be attacked.
Thirsty people who can't separate reality from fiction.
I could have told you if you're dealing with lewd content like this, there are going to be people at that show that are going to be touchy-feely.
It is fictional content. You can find it weird, whatever. It's fictional content.
A man had a tracker placed on him after being groped by multiple people. Authors were kissed and groped by multiple people.
It has a right to exist as long as if it's harming nobody, it's not doing anything to anyone, you can find it weird, whatever.
Stop telling real-life people they're exactly how I imagined blank character. Stop asking authors about their sex lives. Parasocial relationships like these are detrimental to all safe spaces. Works of fiction may be your escape, but real life still exists. You are not entitled to another person's time, attention, or body ever. You should be deeply disturbed and ashamed by your actions.
I agree. 100% agree.
If you allow that to be censored, it opens the door.
A space where dark romance community can feel safe, unless you're one of the talent. Celebrated and free to share their love of the stories that move us most. When they say free, they don't mean free to group.
When you open the door up, it's hard to close that door again. All things will be attacked.
Do we think it's okay to quite literally back him into a corner and touch all over him to the point that he literally cannot tell how many hands are on him and whose are whose? The way that that's written, I mean, I know this is not funny, but I'm like, this actually sounds like a scene from one of these damn books.
It kind of does.
You know, like he was backed into a corner and you couldn't tell whose hands were whose.
It is fictional content. You can find it weird, whatever. It's fictional content.
Given the subject matter, given that these books exist to get women horny, you're gonna have people take it too far.
It has a right to exist as long as if it's harming nobody, it's not doing anything to anyone, you can find it weird, whatever.
Your product gets people hot and bothered, and you're there, and you might be the object of their fixation. You're putting yourself in a situation where all these people are worked up, and a lot of them may be unwell. A lot of them have a parasocial relationship. It's not exactly like you're talking about nuclear physics or something that's not horny. You're making horny stuff. People are going to be horny. They're going to be grabbing.
Yeah, if you allow that to be censored, it opens the door.
Furthermore, do we think it's okay to interrogate him and insist he details how he'd kidnap a woman, despite him repeatedly saying he wouldn't, and that, this shit is fiction?
When you open the door up, it's hard to close that door again. All things will be attacked.
A lot of the ones that are very obsessed with these stories, they're not footed in the real world. They can't sometimes tell that's a person in a costume, but that's not that character.
It is fictional content. You can find it weird, whatever. It's fictional content.
Did you ever see Misery? It's like a convention full of Annie Wilkes.
Except they want to break your legs. They want to break your dick.
It has a right to exist as long as if it's harming nobody, it's not doing anything to anyone, you can find it weird, whatever.
They put an air tag on him. What if someone puts an air tag on me and follows me back to my room,
They could follow you back to your house. They could put it. They could put it on, a piece of clothing or on your bag or something, and they could follow you to your house.
If you allow that to be censored, it opens the door.
We don't have to have the same safeguards because women are all pure and tee-hee-hee and they're blushing and they're like, oh, golly gee. It's like, no, we've seen it. We've seen it at conventions.
When you open the door up, it's hard to close that door again. All things will be attacked.